Hi, I'm Ray Chao, and I'm at the moment. Thinking about the show and the franchise first, and creatively, what makes sense? How do we reach the most people? And how do we build the strongest and most durable business? So I started my career in management consulting, and I reached a point in my career where I realized that I really wanted to do something that I was passionate about. And media had always been on my mind, and I've always loved journalism and media since I was a kid, and reading newspapers, watching TV, reading magazines, listening to podcasts. And I made a decision that I wanted to shift into a career in media on the business side. And so found my way to that. And in around 2020, Vox Media was looking for a business GM of the podcast division. At the time, I was working in public radio. And one of the beautiful things about public radio is that the podcast industry really came out of the public radio market. And I was at WNYC, and WNYC was one of the first podcast publishers. And through my career at WNYC, learned a ton about what it took to be successful, what are some of the mistakes that people made along the way. And I joined Vox Media in early 2021 to be the GM of the podcast business, and I've been there ever since. So the Vox Media Podcast Network is a collection of several dozen shows, and we think about the network as a collection of the most influential shows in the industry across every content category. And we look for host talent that are real authorities in the space and really the best in the world at what they do, whether that's news and tech or business or politics or culture, fashion, lifestyle, food, etc., sports. And we have a collection of the most influential shows out there. And as over the last few years, as everyone knows, podcasting has become much more than just audio episodes in an RSS feed. Podcasts are really franchises that live tons of different platforms out there. Apple, Spotify, of course, but also YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and then of course in real life. And what we are doing at the Vox Media Podcast Network is building a network of franchises rooted in talent that live across every platform. And our goal is to build these shows and build these podcasts into modern media brands and franchises. So the way we think about podcasts, it's always been show first, format and distribution channel second. And so when video became a real opportunity in the podcast space, and we saw both an audience and a revenue opportunity to extend, we leapt at that opportunity. And we're doing that exact same thing across all of our shows with all of our talent. Thinking about the show and the franchise first, and creatively, what makes sense? How do we reach the most people? And how do we build the strongest and most durable business around that? And so through that strategy, what started out as an audio first medium has really become this multi-platform franchise network where everything that we do is distributed on audio platforms, distributed on video platforms, and increasingly showing up in live events in real life to reach fans and connect with fans. And through that, we can build big advertising businesses, subscription businesses, other direct-to-consumer businesses like merchandising, of course, content licensing, and the list goes on. A big focus for us is how do we get smarter, and how can we incorporate AI to be operationally more excellent and more efficient. I think for us, the most important thing to remember is we are in the media business, and our job is not to create a commoditized product. And it's important that the work that we do is not something that can be found somewhere else. And when I think about the hosts that we have in our network and the insights that they bring that are really differentiated and rooted in their own expertise, or when I think about the formats and the segments and the creativity behind that, why audiences love our shows. It's not because they're just getting information efficiently, it's because there's a real human connection with the host and the show. And so in all of the talk about AI and all the conversations and the exploration, that's always been core to how I think about it, is we have to maintain what makes podcasts and what makes media special, and what makes all of us as consumers, what makes us continue to seek out the media that we seek out. And we have to make sure that in all of our experimentation and exploration that we protect that at all costs. And so that's really how we've been really focused on. We want to be smart, but we want to make sure to preserve what makes media special. Reading the physical newspaper is one way, because when I read the news on my phone, it's like, Slack is too close. I'm getting an email, I'm getting a text. There's too much happening on my phone. So I find that very difficult. So, Saturday, Sunday morning, cup of coffee, read the physical newspaper. I love that. It's a way for me to feel centered and grounded. And then any physical activity where I'm not on my phone or I can't be on my phone, those are some of the best times. If I go for a run, I might be carrying my phone, but you're not really on your phone. Or if you're playing tennis with a friend, you're not holding your phone. Your phone it's physically separated from you. So any physical activity, I would say, that where you are separated from your phone is something that I really enjoy.